I, along with Emil DeCosmo, member of the faculty of the band, Robert Manginelli, the band director, and Jackie Rodriguez, the student in the band, will be telling you about the trip that the Fawley High School band journeyed to Canada. We will be commenting about several things. You will also see interviews that were live as they were in Canada. I would also like to start it off by asking band director, Mr. Manginelli, did you think the trip was a success?
I definitely think the trip was a success, especially the concert at the Grand Theater. The capacity of the concert hall was 1,600, and we had 1,300 in the seats.
Right. I see here we have the loading. Jackie, as a student, were you excited the morning of the trip?
Oh, very excited. It was a big thing for me, especially being out of the country for the first time and seeing someplace different.
What about you, Mr. DeCosmo?
I don't know, I just remember the confusion of the buses. We didn't know whether we were number 1 or number 2.
That's right. that was good.
That's right, everybody was...
Well, that's right outside the school on the bus.
Now you will see a few students commenting on what they thought about the trip before we left Thursday morning.
Tony, what do you think about going to Canada? I'm all psyched up. Can't wait. How long have you been waiting for this? 6 months. Joe, how do you feel this morning?
Lenny, we've been looking forward to this trip for 6 months. As all we are. But we are looking forward to it. It is Canada. We have tried to do this since a whole year. Now all of a sudden we are going. And we are going with our heads up high. We are Americans and we are going to a foreign country. As we attempt to move into this country, we will always look back at America, our home. The home of the free and the land of the brave. Thank you, Lenny.
As you can see, it was very early in the morning. And, well, as we left, was your bus quiet or noisy, Mr. Manginelli?
We had a lot of mixed emotions on the bus. Some singing, some talking, some just relaxing in the back of the bus. They had a big seat in the back of the bus, so everyone could like lounge in the back of the bus. Mr. DeCosmo was also on the bus with us.
Yes, I'd like to mention that Mr. Manginelli and Mr. DeCosmos were on bus 2, and Jackie and I were on bus 1. Jackie, in my point of view, I thought our bus started out very noisy, and then as the trip progressed, we got quiet. What did you think?
Well, I thought, as you say, it was very early in the morning, you know,
Yes.
and I was sitting towards the back, and a lot of people were still kind of sleepy, but everybody was hepped up and really excited about getting there and seeing what it was like.
I know personally that when I started out, we were talking and everything, and then I fell asleep.
Yeah, that's how it was with me, too. A lot of people were just excited at first, then fell asleep for a while, and then later on started guitar playing. There was a guitar in the back of the bus, and just singing and talking about what we thought it was going to be like.
Mr. DeCosmo and I compared notes with Mr. Hill and Mr. Foster, and we came up with the fact that we had the quieter bus.
Yeah, I understand that.
Reserved bus.
Mr. DeCosmo and Mr. Manginelli, I'd like to direct this question to both of you. I know us as students, you know, if we wanted to sleep, we just slept. But you two were chaperones.
We took turns.
You took turns.
We took turns, right, with food, and we took turns watching. And well, actually,
I think I did a little more sleeping.
I think so too. We didn't really have to worry too much about the students. They were very well behaved in the bus, and they acted very level-headedly. So.
That was about the bus. Now we will be approaching Canada, Quebec City, and we'll be seeing many interesting buildings. Here we are on the road. What did you think of some of the buildings there, Mr. DeCosmo?
Well, I really can't say, to tell you the truth.
They had some very, very modern architecture there, and lots of sculpture, I noticed, in the area, especially by the Grand Theater. They had some sculpture there. We took a few pictures, like hollowed sculptures. Some of the students sat in them, took pictures.
There I see an old castle or some kind of house over there. What did you think, Jackie?
Well, Mr. Hill, the art teacher, was on the trip, and I spent some time talking with him, and he was telling me about the architecture, how it is modern compared to around New Jersey.
Yeah, I was surprised, because I figured the United States is so far ahead of everybody, and I didn't expect Canada to be like this.
Well, we passed on the way up the Expo 76. So there you see lots of examples of futuristic architecture. We just passed from the road. We didn't go in, but you could tell. Also, they had a shopping area right by the hotel, and that was what was it called? The pyramid.
Yeah.
It was shaped like a pyramid, and it was very futuristic looking.
I was also surprised at the highways. They were very modern highways they had up there.
A lot better than in New Jersey,
Yeah,
too.
you find some of the roads in New Jersey and you wonder.
But they've had those highways for years. I mean, those highways have been in existence a long time, all those main highways. Actually, they're building up along the highways. Years ago that they weren't. They were just stretches of miles of highway with no inhabitants around. That's changed.
Here was the Pyramid Shopping Center you were talking about. I did visit it. I walked down there with some friends.
I must have been sleeping.
And it was very interesting.
The inside also.
That's-
on the
yeah.
inside you could look all the way up to the top of the pyramid.
Oh, here we are approaching our hotel. The Universal Motel it was called. What did you think of the hotel, Mr. Manginelli?
At first sight, when we walked into the lobby, I was impressed because it was very clean and the service was very good and they were organized. We got our rooms within a half hour. Everyone was in their rooms and we had a meal waiting for us. The arrangement that the hotel management set up for us was I was very satisfied with it.
Did you like the hotel, Mr.
Yes, I think it was a beautiful hotel, really. I was a bit surprised, actually.
What about you, Jackie?
I was very impressed when I walked in. I didn't expect that.
I think the students like the pool and the sauna
Yeah.
the best.
On the way up, one of the students had a AAA book, and we were trying to find it. And it took us a while to find it, and we finally found it. And surprising to me, it was rated excellent.
Excellent. Yes.
Yeah.
We found it in the
Yeah.
AAA
Oh, well,
book. when
they
we
should have
planned
been
the
an
trip.
excellent rating, because that's that hotel.
And then I was wondering, I didn't think that we would be in a real nice hotel, and here we are getting off. Everyone was excited here, I see. We were all,
I think they were a little tired,
yeah.
a little anxious to get in the rooms.
It was a long bus
It's a
ride.
9.5-hour bus ride.
Yeah.
That's quite a ride.
We did make a stop, though.
Yeah, we
Howard
stopped at
Johnson.
Howard Johnson's on the way up.
By the way, did you know that was quite a large university across the way from the motel? The
Yeah.
Laval University?
I was wondering, do you think that's why they called the hotel a Universal?
It could be.
Could have been. That's a possibility, yeah.
Although,
Although I think that the university across the street is relatively new. It's like 5 years old.
Is
It
it?
wasn't there. The band, previous band director took the band there in 1970.
they have about 1,200 music majors at that university.
I
Is it a
noticed.
music school?
Yeah, it's music school.
I noticed when I was there was some kind of soccer team in the dining room, and we had a water polo team, as a matter of fact, from the university.
Those are the guys walking around in their uniforms
Uh-huh.
in the hall.
Oh yes, this was the hotel we were coming in. I remember that when we got in the lobby and everyone was trying to get keys, and the teachers were screaming out the rooms and get this key and that key, and we were all wondering. A funny thing happened in my room though. Me and Ted Nannis, he was one of my roommates, and we took the key and we went inside. And as we came out, I asked Teddy where the key was, and he said he left it with me. I said, no, I left it with you. And then he said he left it in the door, and it was locked, and all of a sudden we had to get a bellboy.
From what I understand, a lot of funny things went on in your room.
Yeah, that was true.
All
Here we are in the dining room, I believe. Yes,
the food there was very good too.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the food.
Service was excellent.
Service was
Everyone
excellent.
treated us well.
They had other schools there, from what I remember too. They had another school.
At the same time? Or before us? I don't...
I think because I saw other students
Uh,
around the area, so I think it might have been the same time.
It was good food. I enjoyed the food. And it was always, 3 solid meals were always there.
Right.
And the
They-
service was good.
They also, on our night before our concert, they gave us a special cake.
Yeah, that was nice.
Very nice of them to do. They suggested it to me, and I said, well, why not?
Here we see the students enjoying their dinner. The French people, they were nice, so I have to give them credit.
I was afraid they wouldn't, like tourists at all.
Yeah, I was afraid the hotel wouldn't like us.
What is this now?
Keep talking. Oh. They, we were a little rowdy.
At the rehearsal, we had a rehearsal hall in the.
Yeah, it was nice of them.
Also.
They were very considerate.
They did give us a room to practice in. What did you think of the acoustics in the room, Mr. Mitchell?
Oh, the acoustics sound like a gymnasium. But at least we had a room to practice in.
That's true.
We had time to practice, we had the facility, and again, the management worked very well with us.
It would have been a little awkward if we all practiced in our rooms.
No, I don't think they would have accepted that too much.
Yes.
Matter of fact, the management had asked us to do a small concert on a Friday evening, but just at the last minute they occupied the room. It was a small banquet room, and they wanted us to do a concert there for the local people. And I gladly accepted, but at the last minute they had a...
I know, that would have been nice practice. It would have been a good warm-up.
In front of the people also.
That was also our time. We had lots of time to tour the city.
Well, which was also good for the historical value.
And I understand that here we will have an interview with one of the chaperones, Miss Weaver, coming up in a few moments.
Miss Weaver, what do you like best about this trip?
Well, I liked about the first 3 hours of the bus ride. After that, it became a little difficult. I'm looking forward to the concert. I'm looking forward to seeing Quebec today. The trip is good for me because I enjoy being with the kids, and
It also kind of breaks the routine.
it breaks the routine, and I think that I've been a little discouraged with public education the last couple of months, and this brings back to me sort of what it's all about, or what it should be. You know, this is what it should be like.
Thank you.
Coming up now on the film, I believe we'll see the Grand Theater, where we did play. And I personally was amazed. We'd never played in anything like that before.
It's a similar structure to Alice Tully Hall. The inside, the newness of it. This is it now.
Yes.
We had the sculpture outside there also.
They just showed art. They had 4 other things going on in that huge center. I don't recall them, but it's not just for one thing, I know that.
They had a ballet the week before.
Yeah, there's the signs. I can't make them out from here, but we were up there, the Fort Lee High School Symphonic Band. It was nice of them to give us billing and everything. I personally, I don't know about you, Mr. Mangelli, but I was surprised at the amount of people that showed up.
I was, and then again I wasn't, because the day before when we went to set up the stage, they called me into the office and they said that they had given out 1,400 tickets, and they had 200 tickets left to give out. And he said that usually when they give tickets away, people take full advantage of it in Quebec, because they're artistically inclined people, and they want to get the best art forms that they can be exposed to at any time that they can. So the free tickets were like good publicity for the theater, and also for us it was a nice token for being greeted at the theater and having a nice concert.
This was Friday, and we did get a chance to look around, and we were looking around. It was before the concert, so we could familiarize ourselves with the hall. And when we got there, everyone was looking around, looking at the tickets. We wanted to see the tickets and asking information and everything.
Yeah, the programs were very nice.
Yeah, they made up programs about our song and everything. And that was very nice of them. This was a statue or something outside, I believe.
The old city. Is this just outside the old city?
Yeah, this is near the old city, and there's some kind of fancy restaurant at top of that building, I gather. Quebec City was a very contrast, I believe, Mr. DeCosmo. They had old, and yet they had very new.
Right.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, the old city, you know, that there was an elevator ride all the way down to the bottom.
I think we have a picture of that coming up. This is still the...
I wanted to mention something about that hall there, that the size of the stage actually was probably about 3 times the size of the Fort Lee Auditorium, or at least twice the size.
Yeah.
The stage itself.
When we played on the stage, I almost fell off. The podiums were small and everything in there. We had plenty of room. and we could walk around when we had parts to move and other things, and there was plenty of room.
And before the concert, they called me back to the office. We set up the stage. They had a floor plan of the whole stage laid out on like a blueprinted paper. And we set up exactly what kind of risers we'd use for the band, and they made a space for each student.
You just saw one of our tickets that we did get on camera, and it was the same kind of ticket that any Canadian citizen got who asked for it. And here we are on the lawn of the Grand Theater. We're just waiting to leave. And over there, I believe, we did see that art sculpture you were talking about, Mr. Mancinelli, which was interesting. And this is a building right near it. Very big building, I might add. The Grand Theater, it really looked like it was made for a symphonic band. It was just magnificent.
Well, they rolled in the sides of the stage. They have platforms on the sides of the stage, and they have acoustically perfect structures for the sides of the stage so that the band sound is projected toward the audience. Because if they had not put them out, there would have just been curtains, and most of the sound would have been absorbed into the stage.
I think the Quebec Symphony Orchestra plays at that Grand Theater. I spoke to one of the professors from the college, from Laval University, and he did say that he did play with the Symphony Orchestra. I guess they use that hall. It would be like Philharmonic Hall here in New York.
Now we're leaving the Grand Theater and approaching the Old City, in which we did tour most of Friday. What did you think of the Old City, Jackie?
Oh, it was beautiful. It really was. It was breathtaking. The architecture was very nice. Oh, go on.
I understand. This is what some people told me, that it reminded them of Europe, but I personally was never in Europe. What do you think about that, Mr. DeCasio?
Yes, it is like Europe. Those old, smaller buildings and close together, and the narrow streets, and of course a lot of restorations going on because they're restoring the whole city. And
we have some shots of that restoration, don't we?
Right.
Where they're actually building up from the ground,
right.
Using some of the same stones and new stones for the restoration, and they have different levels of production on those.
There's a ship on the St. Lawrence River, and I remember reading about that in our history books.
Yeah, well, that's where that restoration is going on, right down near the river, I guess. It was destroyed by fire, by the way. That's what someone told me. That's what happened to it.
That area?
Yeah. All the old buildings were destroyed by a fire.
So now they're building it up
Yes.
specifically for the purpose of other people coming to see what it was like.
Right, for tourist trade.
Well, here we are standing on top of it.
Top of at the castle? Is that the Chateau Frontenac?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Here we are. And we were looking down, and there's the tower, and there you see the Canadian flag waving.
The maple leaf.
Yes. The Canadians, they had their flag. It was, do you know why they have a maple leaf, Mr. DeCosmo?
No, I really don't.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. We should have.
Might be
Yes,
the national tree or something.
I understand we'll have another interview coming up pretty soon, in a few moments.
Tori, what do you think of this beautiful city?
Oh, I think Quebec is absolutely the most fantastic place I've been in. It's got mountains all over. The scenery reminds me of Europe very much. It's beautiful statues, and it's just undescribable.
Rich and Judy, what do you like best about the city? Rich?
I think coming up here to Canada gave me a great chance to see, Canadian history and folklore and the beautiful cities. And, I mean, you're just surrounded by beauty and everything. I mean, look at this, sitting there behind this terrific cannon, and it tells you, on the tour you hear about Canadian history and the conquest of everything.
Judy?
I like knowing that everything in the history books is really true, because you see a lot of this stuff that's the same around here that you read about, and how the cannons and the fortresses and everything.
Get me out of here!
That's right, the ride down to the old city.
What was the angle? I think it was something like 70-degree angle coming down.
Oh, maybe even steeper than that.
Were you frightened, Jackie?
Oh, yeah, a lot of people, when that elevator started moving, it just kind of shifted. And a lot of those people were wondering.
It's not like going up or down. It's like the elevator's slanted and broken.
It's probably safer than going up and down, actually.
Yeah, it is.
But they have that type of elevator on the Eiffel Tower. That's the type of elevators going up to the Eiffel Tower.
For us cowards, they did have steps which you could walk down.
The cowards took the steps on the way up. Lots of cowards.
After experiencing the ride down. And save a quarter too. They did charge for that elevator.
Now, aren't these the streets down in the...
Yeah, these are the streets after we got off the elevator. And we were roaming around here.
A lot of gift shops.
Yeah, there were a lot of tourist shops.
And I believe you, Mr. Manginelli, coming up on an interview in a few moments.
What do you think of Quebec City?
Well, there's such a contrast in the city. You have the old buildings, the castle, and then you have the telephone wires with all the media in the old city. That there's such a contrast. It's really an artist's dream, actually.
Miss Rousseau, qu'en pensez-vous de la ville?
Eh bien, c'est très joli. Ils sont en train de restaurer, comme vous voyez, et c'est très pittoresque. Vous avez ici l'ancienne ville contrastée avec la nouvelle ville, qui est plus récente, évidemment. Et malheureusement, nous avons de la pluie. On ne peut pas apprécier la beauté de cette partie de la ville.
Merci.
We're now looking at the old buildings in Quebec here, where we have some of the oldest structures, and they usually build some of the newer structures next to these older structures, so that to hold them in. And when they build new upon the old, they try to follow the same line as the old.
You see the new building on the right that we just shot, and the old building was on the left.
Right next to them.
Right?
The old building is on the left, the new is on the right.
Okay.
And you can follow that. And we'll go down later where they'll show you the foundations, how they build this all up.
Mr. DeCosmo, can you describe what we're seeing up there?
Well, that looks like an old fort up there, and it seems that they're restoring this lower section here where the water probably came in, and we see all these buildings here. Water knocked the buildings down.
You can see that elevator shaft. I think you can see it there on the right. That's how we came down from up there. And that fort, that wall is a wall that continues around the whole area.
Right. That elevator is a type of elevator you find on the Eiffel Tower when you go to France. It's an elevator that goes at about a about 80-degree angle. Comes down.
Okay, and the houses?
Oh, these houses are all being restored above foundation.
As if those holes in the wall, if you can see them, possibly contained cannon. Rich, can you see any cannon up there?
No, I don't think so. Not from this angle. It's possible, very possible that cannons were in there at one point, and it defended the walls of the city, the entrance of the city.
Well, we're now painting that wall, and we're going up to the top or the summit of the fort, where you can see that flag, no doubt a Canadian flag. And this fort is right out of the history books. History students learn about how the French defended this city from the British. And they tried to storm the fort, but they failed.
After being in Quebec, I found it to be very educational.
Oh, yeah!
Everybody's a comedian. I'd like to mention that that narration done by Mr. DeCosmo, sitting right over here, was done in Canada and not here. And it was very intelligent, Mr. DeCosmo, that you were doing it right at the spur of the moment. Did you know all this for facts?
Not really. I surmised, actually, just from just looking over. I'd been in Quebec before, and I found out a little bit about it, but not too much.
I know they showed a fort there, and I was in Canada once before, and I visited that, and that was called the Citadel. And they have changing of the guards there, and they give you a tour and everything. And that was interesting. We just happened to miss that.
That fort that we saw?
Yeah, the fort we saw up there.
Oh, my parents visited there once. He said it's very beautiful on the inside.
Mm.
They have the customary changing of the guard just like they have in England.
And in Washington, did you ever see that there?
Changing of the guard.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Same.
Yeah.